It's not what you can't do, it's what you can. Hello, my name's Chet Davis, and this is Reflections. As we move on, continuing to deal with life during the pandemic, COVID-19, there's a lot of things that we cannot do. Whether it's, going out with friends, connecting with others, traveling. Some people can't go to work, or they can't do the same kind of work. They don't go to the office, they work at home. Children may be restricted to seeing limited number of friends or none at all. You may be sheltering in place in your home, protecting your family, the health of your community and our country. And so there's a lot that we're choosing not to do, or that we cannot do, that we could do 4, 5, 6 months ago, years ago. But I think it's important to focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. We have to acknowledge that it's not normal. I don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. But we have to acknowledge that these are different times, that there is a pandemic going on, and how we choose to act, how we choose to behave, what we choose to do with ourselves, what we choose to do with our time, I believe can make all the difference in the world. I have some friends who have done some unique and interesting things during the pandemic. Some have learned a new language or have continued to learn a new language. Some have sharpened their drawing skills, whether it's drawing on paper and pen or using an app like Procreate on their iPad. Some have learned new software or learned how to connect with others using Zoom or GoToWebinar or FaceTime. I know one friend has actually started prayer circles, prayer groups with older women in her church. I have another friend who's trying new recipes, and he and I are comparing notes. I also love to cook. There are people who are going through their photos and their videos during the pandemic time because they're stuck at home, because they're staying home away from travel. I know my wife and I are going through international trips. While we're not able to travel this summer, we're reliving previous trips and organizing our photos and our videos. Some people are sharpening their skills. They're learning new habits. Maybe it's presentation skills and speaking. Maybe it's management skills. Maybe they're learning a new software application, a software program. My youngest son is home from university, and he's taking 3 different classes this summer, 2 in mathematics and 1 in computer programming. So it's what you do with your time, I believe, is important, instead of focusing on what you cannot do. And this came more clear to me this past week. I was having a conversation with a younger person and talking about this time as she's going through work, and she was sharing with me what she's doing differently during the pandemic, because work has changed for her and how she's responding and what she's doing. I said, that is really notable. That's great. You need to write that down, whether it's a diary or a journal or what have you, or just make a note in your mobile device, in the Notes app, whatever. Because when it comes time for your annual review or a meeting with your supervisor, or if you go in for a promotion or a new role, or for those of you who are maybe out of work or transitioning to a different work, when you're seeking a job interview, what we do with ourselves during the pandemic time, I believe, are things that we can use to further our careers when the pandemic is over. When I shared this with this person, she said, I didn't think of it that way. Of course not. She was just coping. She was adjusting what she does, what she did, what she goes through on a daily basis, and changing it to fit the circumstance. She was innovating. And that is incredibly notable. I belong to a parents' forum online for my youngest son's university, and there's the father of a senior student was lamenting the situation. Certainly, none of us are happy that the situation, the circumstances, right? The learning from home and missing out on some things we hoped our children would experience when they're at college, that they're not going to get to this year because of the pandemic and its circumstances. And this parent was saying, I hope his future employers understand about his son, what he's unable to do during the pandemic. And it occurred to me, of course they will understand. This is a global pandemic. The world is being affected by this, let alone us here in the United States. It's affecting most everyone, every company, every worker. And what I think is going to be important is not, I couldn't do this, I didn't do this during the pandemic, but instead focus on what did you do? How did you cope with online learning? How did you cope when your classes were canceled? What did you do differently to try to make sure you could learn, to establish some degree of success? Did you learn a new language? Did you learn a musical instrument? Did you learn new software? What did you do with yourself? What did you do with your time? Because to me, that demonstrates that flexibility, that ability to manage ambiguity and move forward towards success. That's the kind of person I would choose to hire. So think about, in the days, weeks, and perhaps months ahead, what are you going to choose to do differently during this time that will not only bring you fulfillment now, but help you thrive in the future? Because I truly believe there is the potential for that, even in these most challenging of times. My name is Chet Davis, and this is Reflections.